I finally started Hunter x Hunter yesterday after putting it off for probably a good 2 or 3 years. One thing I'm really interested in learning about is Nin, because I've heard a lot about how interesting and intricate it can get and just how the power system in general is so cool. I don't really have a lot of expectations for the world building or where the story is going to go at all. The only details I really know about the story are there's that silver-haired kid Killua, and he's an assassin. My brother showed me a while back that battle between the old dude and the Ant-Man. It seemed like it was cool, I just had no idea what was going on. A couple of things that I've noticed with the story are the pacing just is not where it needs to be. Turns out I've been watching the 99 version, so the pacing issues I just complained about aren't even present. But at the same time, I'm really messing with the voice acting and the atmosphere of the original. So I guess the solution is to continue with the version from 99, switch to 2011 for the action, and then triple cross-examine it with the manga because every other scene has changed for some reason. One thing that I thought was interesting, the blonde-haired kid, who actually I thought was going to be Killua. I thought it was really interesting the way his perception works because for now until further notice, I'm going to assume that that was Nin that he used in the beginning of the show because his eyes started to glow and then it seemed like he stabbed that spider with the fork. But it looks like he kind of caught it in between the gaps of the fork and then he threw it and he kind of just got it away from him without actually harming it. So it seems like rather than what I thought it originally was, where it was straight up, like his observation was straight up enhanced, it seems like it's more so his perception or his spatial awareness. Because you can see later on whenever he's on the boat, he dodges like those 3 pieces of that barrel that broke off of the dude's face. He dodges those pretty easily, and again, I kind of thought that was more of an observation thing. But then you go to that scene later where he's following Gon in the woods and he's talking about how dark it is, and he's so amazed that Gon can even see in this kind of environment. Then later on they catch up to those, I don't even know what you call them, they kind of look like the 9-tailed foxes, but it's some kind of like monster creature, humanoid, shape-shifting, whatever. They're talking about how Gon's perception is so on point that, nobody can actually tell them apart, and I forgot what the blonde-haired kid's reasoning was for being able to, he was able to look at the tattoos and, he knows about some kind of ancient history. Yeah, he wasn't able to, tell them apart either. So it doesn't seem like it's a perception thing. It seems like he's more spatially aware of the things around him rather than it being straight up observation. I really liked in the manga and in the remake, the introduction was so much better. They start out from panel 1 talking about the mystique of the world and the allure and the adventure that hunters seek out. It reminds me a lot of One Piece in that way, that they build up that sense of adventure and how you never know what's going to happen in the grand line and how powerful these people are. That's actually another thing that's really cool. I really have no idea what a hunter is, but it's still really fascinating the way it's just drawing me into the narrative. I think it was episode 2 where this hunter and this other dude were walking with this creature he had just captured, and he was talking about, oh, you're surprised I caught it? I am a hunter, And there's this guy overhearing the conversation and he's talking about, that dude's a hunter, and he's talking shit about him.
Hey you, new guy, you can stop with the mopping. Go get us some tea instead.
Yes, sir.
I'm amazed you were able to catch one of those.
It was easy. I am a hunter, Yeah, I bet you are.
I thought that was going to be a character that got introduced to the story. I'm kind of disappointed that isn't somebody, but that was just such an awesome scene. Like, again, I have no idea what a hunter is. I don't know what they're supposed to be capable of or how the power system is going to split up, but just as an early introduction, that was just so on point. It just does a great job of showcasing that there's levels to this shit. They talk about later how the people who have made it to the endurance part of the test, they're 1 in 10,000, and only 1 person dropped out, which actually that dude was so much better in the manga than he was in the anime. They tried to do some kind of like hallucination kind of thing that just really didn't make him as competent as he really was made out to be in the manga. A few other things the anime did really cool were the scene with Killua in the sewers or wherever they were running, and they've got the rookie crusher, and he's talking about, I don't even remember what he said, just play the clip.
You seem nervous about something.
Who, me? No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. You led them to a trap.
What? How can you say that?
There's something I think you should know. Those who betray others seal their own fate, because eventually they will also be killed by an act of betrayal. I'm not lying. If you want, I could prove it to you. Anytime. Like right now.
I'll probably cut in at some point whenever I get a few more details on the world and just what hunters are and where the story is going. But for now, I just wanted to get kind of my ideas about my expectations for the story, what I'm thinking so far. Like, nothing's really popped off yet. I don't want to do this thing like I feel like a lot of people do with One Piece. They hear about the world building and the narrative and just how intricate and well written everything is, and that's why they get into it. So they start One Piece and it's so incredibly slow and it's just a bunch of friends having an adventure, and they never really break away from the main cast or give any broader context for the outside world. So they talk about how bad the pacing is and it's got to get better because it's not already great. They get to the Grand Line and then they skip Skypiea. They skip the Long Ring Long Island arc, and recently somebody just told me that people are skipping. I just read a comment somewhere on TikTok where somebody was talking about people are skipping Hazard Punk. Punk Hazard. People are skipping Punk Hazard. But it's so annoying and aggravating to me because One Piece has always been about the adventure. But I'm glad that I'm actually beginning the story at a place where I'm more open to the entire narrative and not just so focused on Nin and the power structure. And I'm not really enjoying it as much because I'm so focused on this one thing that I want out of it, because I feel like that's something that people are doing with One Piece. They're ignoring a lot of the narrative and a lot of the characteristics of people. One thing that's going on right now is there's this reveal for the character that rules the world. Like, do I need a spoiler warning? Who's watching this? They're talking about Usopp dying, and I mean, I feel like people, it is cool on some levels hearing just like the what if discussions about it, but I feel like in general most people are just pretending that there needs to be a death or Emu isn't threatening. And at the same time, they're entirely sidestepping Enies Lobby, where Luffy is supposed to be a character that's powerful enough to protect his friends because he knows they're not strong enough to deal with the enemies that he's creating. I'll probably do an update video whenever I get a more concrete detail of the narrative, what Nin is, and if I've already seen it at this point, the combat style of Gon, and you know what his skill set actually is. So far it seems to be especially focused on his perceptiveness, but also just being superhuman in general. I don't think we've really seen any strength feats. I'm talking like a power scaler right now. He kind of just seems superhuman in general in the way that he can hear the rustling of clothes and he can hear their breathing. You know, his perceptiveness has just been on point. I was talking about Kurapika earlier and his sense of awareness and perception, but it seems like that was complete bullshit that the animation team just made up. They're talking about how his eyes glow red because he's more heightened in some sense. It made it seem like he was also afraid of the spider, and that's why his eyes started glowing, and then that was just his natural ability to just fling it away like that. Oh, and another thing, just, yeah, the fact that they're so young. They're like 12 years old. Like, can we get at least some teenagers? Like, I just turned 25. I would like to see some, at least teenage characters. Can we get some adult characters on screen? They just did that new Percy Jackson series, and even when I was a kid in 5th grade, I still wasn't imagining some 12, 13, 14-year-old kid. Yeah. I've seen bits and pieces, but I have no idea where it's going, and really, I'm just mad excited for it. The only reason I'm sat here right now was because I was reading the manga earlier, and I got to that scene where they're at the 3rd test, and they're falling into those different holes, and they're waiting on this last fifth person to fall through the top because whatever the box they were in, they needed another dude. So they're already 2 hours behind. We just finally, for the first time, saw Kahlua actually get bloodthirsty. He killed and sliced these two people up. And now he's a part of this test where they're talking about how we're all going to have to come to the same agreement on where we're going to go. I'd like to think on some level that's going to turn deadly. And then at the same time, we just had Tonka, the rookie crusher, drop in too. And the manga is different because it's never revealed directly to them that he's a traitor. Other than Kaluuya, who is just his intuition that the drink was poison. I don't think anybody else knows that he even is the rookie crusher. So they dropped in. I got so hyped. I'm so ready to go back and finish this up that I just had to come record this right now. But I'm really excited for Hunter x Hunter. The world building seems like it's going to be, I'm not going to say similar to One Piece, but just the fact that it's an adventure and you have all these creatures in different environments that are so unique and particular to the Hunter x Hunter world, that's pretty cool. The way that hunters are built up in the same way that people in the Grand Line are. They're these powerful, mysterious characters with strange abilities. That's very cool. But other than that, I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. Hunter x Hunter's been pretty nice, and yeah, I don't know how to end this.